We are back. And we are back. It is episode, hold on a second. Wait just a damn minute. It's been a minute.
I've lost count myself.
It is episode 17.
Oh shit, even I lost count.
Everything is Pro Wrestling Podcast. We are here. And we're excited, man. It's been another great week. I am doing my best to not look like I just came off of the golf course because, well, I did. So I changed real quick. Also,
They don't let you golf like that at the
Nah, you know, they don't let you wear a Suns jersey and a Rhode Island FC hat, but it is kind of fire.
You can't go Kevin Durant jersey on the golf course?
No, maybe in Phoenix right now.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe
definitely not in Oklahoma.
Definitely not Oklahoma City.
Definitely
Yeah.
not in Oklahoma.
Yeah, he abandoned them, so that probably wouldn't happen now. But yeah, man, we are back again. Another jam-packed week of professional wrestling to talk about. And I think, to me, something that happened Monday night was probably the craziest, but also like deepest storyline that we've had in professional wrestling in a very, very long time. It was Uncle Howdy interviewing, well, technically himself, interviewing Bo Dallas and leaving no stone unturned. Okay, they got right to the chase. It's obviously the quote unquote elephant in the room. Understanding that they're continuing something that Bray, rest in peace, started, a legacy that, and a storyline and characters and things that happened before his passing that they're continuing. They're not pretending like he didn't exist. And I think that was probably my biggest takeaway was when Uncle Howdy got right to it. And when Bo Dallas started to open up and he was like, yes, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
He, in that moment, was kind of all of the IWC or just wrestling fans in general being like, oh, yeah, we're actually going to talk about this.
Well, there's also the wrestling fans that have the insane batshit conspiracy theory that was actually Bray Wyatt under the mask.
I saw that, yeah. But I think that's just Facebook people, which
God
they don't really
damn.
count. They don't really
That's
count.
a rabbit hole. Holy shit.
Yeah. Which, first of all, no.
Yes.
Second of all, I'm going to tell you right now, if by some miracle that does turn out to be true, you're going to need to find a new third co-host because I'm out on wrestling.
Yeah,
If
same.
you fake somebody's death, I'm fucking out.
Yeah,
Too
same.
real to
That's
me,
too
damn it.
over the line.
Yeah.
Jesus. I didn't even see that. That's a bridge too far.
Yeah.
Well, you know how it goes. Some people still think that...
Some people also don't understand how, camera works.
Yeah, exactly.
And they think,
Like,
well,
but
they're
you
both
can
on
see 'em in the
camera,
same
so
shot.
it
Yeah,
has
exactly.
to be Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
No, fucking there's 1,000 movies out there where a character talks to himself in the same shot.
We live in a society that thinks that Tupac is still alive.
That's also true.
He's been dead for
He's
28
still in
years.
Cuba. He was in Cuba for a while.
To be fair, we also live in a society that since the 70s has thought Elvis is still alive.
Yeah.
That's true, too. He'd be like 100 years old now. And they're like,
Yeah.
he might be out there somewhere.
Still
pumping gas
still
in
on the
Tennessee
shitter
somewhere.
Saw somebody that looked like him. I saw his face in my toast.
I could have sworn
Means
this guy walking down the street in Vegas was Elvis.
Right,
no?
yeah.
Which one? There's 30 of them. But no, I think, honestly, seriously, for this one, incredible.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit last week, and I know you mentioned it about, you don't have to always give us everything, or sometimes we leave things to chance or to thought or to come up with our own, which I usually agree with. I think this is one of those outliers where they did it so well that they wrapped up the story, and it wasn't something where only the newer fans who needed the context needed it. It was also something for us that we took a lot away from it, seeing Bo being that vulnerable.
Yeah.
Seeing him open up. Just some of the words and the language he used and how direct and open and honest he was. I thought it was incredible. Yeah. I can't imagine. I was thinking about being a fly in the room when they recorded that.
Yeah.
Or some of the other people who were in the room working on it behind the scenes, what their emotions were and what they were thinking, because you could clearly see the emotion from Bo.
Yeah.
I thought it was extremely well done. I thought it was one of those things, again, they didn't have to do it, but I'm glad they did it because they did it so well. We talk a lot about WWE's production and their behind the scenes and how good that is, and I think this was just a testament to it. And I think anything, it makes it I think it endears Bo to fans, old and new alike, about how well he's done in this, and obviously how much it means. We talked a little bit about he's not gonna mail this in, he's not gonna half-ass this. This is his brother. Clearly, as he mentioned, he lost a part of himself in this whole process. Right. So I think I'm even more confident in where this is gonna go, and now even more excited to see where it goes.
Same. We talked last week that they nailed the debut, but what comes next is the hardest part. This was the best first step they could have possibly had. This was an incredible segment. This is a roundabout way here, but bear with me for a second. I have a bit of a pet peeve where people online call a really nice camera shot and they're like, that's cinema. That's not fucking cinema. It's a really nice camera shot.
Yeah.
This was legitimately cinema.
Yeah.
This was phenomenally acting performances. It looked great. Like, it told a phenomenal story. This was absolutely cinema.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to disagree with that. And it was captivating. Like, if you're like even my wife, who will loosely, to humor me, follow some of the professional wrestling stories, whether it be WWE, whatever, even she was like, wow, like, wait a minute. And she started asking me questions like, wait, is this real? Like, how? Yes, you know, Bo Dallas playing both characters, his brother Bray, and having to explain that. Now you're capturing the average person that maybe has it on because they're humoring a significant other or a friend or whoever it may be, a sibling. You're capturing that person because it is like, wait, this actually, even though it's this supernatural character that has been created in this universe, right? Because like everybody of the Wyatt Six is like some type of monster, right? And in the setup for it, which was Nikki Cross coming out, handing a V. By the way, Michael Cole saying like, "Oh, we need a VHS machine." It's a VCR, brother. Come on, we know you were around for the VCRs.
You absolutely were around for the VCR.
Let's not pretend you were the
Shield Coliseum home videos, man.
Yeah,
you know
brother.
what they're called.
Come on now. When they found the VHS machine and they played the tape, even the setup for that was kind of like, oh, creepy. And then you have this incredibly deep moment where you're witnessing, and shout out to No C. I know we shout him out every week, but that's our dude. He wrote an incredible write-up about this segment where it was like you're witnessing grief and depression and a lot just unfold in front of you and it's not turning it into a storyline because there's so much of it that's real. You're just allowing somebody who is an artist and a creator, right, in this universe that is professional wrestling, channel their grief and make it into something. He said he didn't want Bray to become a mausoleum, and I think that's it's such a good way to put it.
Yeah, you got to think. I mean, I'm not going to speak for the guy, but you got to think there's a great chance that even doing that had to have been partly like therapeutic for Bo.
For sure.
To just finally be able to get that off his chest. Like, there's a great chance that wasn't scripted. That was just him. Like, that's what he actually felt.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, I wonder how many takes this took.
Yeah.
Just because I can see him just pouring all his emotions out, and to either being like, okay, cool, we got everything we needed, or even be like, oh my God, we got to kind of dial back a little bit because there's so much here. The cathartic was the word that came to mind when I watched it too, because you could kind of even just as Bo was going through it, obviously sometimes they might record these things differently, but this looked like just one kind of throughout. And yeah, it was awesome. Even to the point where he was like, nobody's feeling the pain that I'm feeling.
Right.
There's nobody in the world who feels it the way I feel it, and no slight to anyone else. His
of course,
siblings, the mother of Bray's children. That wasn't a slight to anyone else, but they grew up. They were at each other's hip as kids, growing up in the business around their dads. So many things, you knew how much they meant to one another. So it was nice to see him open up, and historically, through Bo's kind of character arc and career arc, we've never seen that side of Bo.
Never.
He's usually been more jovial and fun and laughing, and usually kind of the butt of the jokes.
Right. I think it's a B team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So to see him go there was like also confirmation that clearly they trust him because they know he has that in him, and they know there's that side to him. So I think he did himself a lot of favors and got a lot of folks who might have been on the fence or worrisome or even just curious. Now we're going to be invested and going to want to tune in to see where this goes next, how the rest of the Y6 is utilized. Like you mentioned, Nikki Cross coming out with the box, perfect.
Yeah.
That's all you needed to do. I did get a kick out of it. Was addressed to Pat McAfee, was the box. So I was wondering if there was anything else that was going to come from that, or maybe that was just a callback to the show last week.
From what I heard or what I read, he was actually supposed to be the one they handed the box to. But which reminds me, condolences to Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Because apparently his father-in-law actually passed away Monday.
Yeah, that's why he wasn't at Raw Monday.
I missed that because I heard Cole's comments were like, I won't read too deep into that, and I'm like, is that just character?
I think that was trying to be a throwback to the stuff that he did on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
But of course, Pat said on the show Tuesday that his father-in-law unfortunately passed away on Monday. That's why he had to miss Raw.
And also it makes, when you think about it, which obviously like Flanabam sends, sending our condolences to Pat, that's awful, and Pat's wife. But it makes the last minute change make a little bit more sense because Miz was involved in a storyline later on. So they were probably just like, oh shit, like we need to throw somebody in there and the Miz can talk. So to not have Cole go out there for 3 hours on his own, which as somebody who once called a soccer game by himself for a radio where you have to describe, it's not easy. Okay. So So shout out to the Miz for stepping up in that moment too, and in our thoughts are with Pat and his family.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the fact that he probably was going to be involved in it somehow.
Like I said, apparently that's Nikki Cross was supposed to hand him the box.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Right, which makes more sense,
Yeah.
And Cole did a great job.
Oh, yeah,
he did
absolutely.
awesome.
Oh, he did amazing,
throughout,
yeah.
And obviously, and even when he was on commentary for the small segments at the end, obviously Cole's a pro. He crushed it. I thought it was awesome. But yeah, I thought that was curious at first because I was like, okay, address to him.
Which, speaking of, I don't think, especially in the post Vince era, Michael Cole gets enough credit for what
he's
he
been
does.
amazing.
He's
Oh
been
my God.
especially
He's been
now
amazing.
that he's just been able to
Yeah.
he doesn't have somebody
They
in
took
his
the
ear
reins off
shouting
him
at him
and
all the
let him
time, just
go.
let him run free.
Yep.
He's been incredible.
Oh, he's
He's
so good.
shown why he is one of the better ring announcers
Of
there's
all
ever
time.
been.
Yeah, of all time. And I think we've talked about this before on the pod where like there was so many times where he was the butt of everyone's jokes. And he was in all the angles where everyone hated him. And that was just the booking for him as the announcer at the desk. And now you can see it. You can literally hear it from the language and some of the things he says. It's now different. Mentioning other companies, mentioning other wrestlers and the like. He's awesome. And you see how much fun he's having.
Yeah.
Like he has so much fun with Cole, but he has so much fun just in general now. And I'm happy for him, man.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be, and you can feel it. And even this segment they had with the Uncle Howdy and Bo Dallas, where you got to feel like a lot of that was allowed to happen because of the current regime, right?
Yes.
Like, allowing a storyline to continue and not just naming a tournament after Bray, which at the end of the day, like, yeah, that's nice. Charities are nice. Tournaments in memoriam are nice, but when you had a guy that was literally in the middle of his prime creating this universe that he was super passionate about that at times got derailed, allowing his family member, who is also in the business, continue that legacy and to see it out, and now under a new regime and new creative, I think that to me is the best way to honor him.
Yeah.
And I hope, like you said, Flanabam, it is therapeutic for Bo Dallas and his family as well.
I also definitely think I'm 100% positive this wouldn't have happened in the old regime because the old regime fired Bray Wyatt.
That's right.
Like he wouldn't have been brought back in the old
and
regime.
then fucked up his character when he came back again.
Yeah.
That is true. And that it reminded me that, like, specifically what you just mentioned with the siblings, it made me think back to, like, Brett and Owen.
Yeah.
When Owen passed, and obviously Brett wasn't there in the company, and he was in WCW, and how would Brett's career, I think we've even talked about this, how would Brett's career possibly have differed if he was still in the company?
Yeah.
How would the impact of that relationship be different? How they had honored him? I don't think the decision night of would have changed with Brett there, but how would it have looked like after the fact? And maybe it would have. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe Vince, sees him backstage and it's a little different. But it makes me think, because now we see the Owen Classic in AEW, but also it took how many years before that? 20 years before you have something like that honoring him. So maybe 20 years from now, we honor Bray that way. But in real time now, when we can honor him in a way that he probably would have preferred with his brother to that point, this is the way to go.
Yeah. Although, to be, I guess, fair to the company whose kind of fault it is Owen Hart died in the first place, his wife wouldn't let them do that. Like, I think they wanted to do other stuff before, but his wife was like, fuck you, no.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Which I 100% get where she's coming from.
100%.
She absolutely should have said
whatever
that.
she wants is,
Definitely makes a ton of sense. But that was, just really good television, really good. And I'm, again, they're 2 for 2 when it comes to the Wyatt Six and setting it up. And I hope it's more about the grieving and less about the, like, we're just here to fuck shit up for no reason type thing. Like, I hope that they continue to use that. So,
and I'm excited to see where they go. Triple H, who was on McAfee, did do a little bit of a teaser, potentially Wyatt Six Bloodline. Didn't go concrete and say it would be the case, but mentioned the two of them. So, think the long-term booking, we see some possibilities, but obviously we're curious on a week-to-week basis what this is going to look like, how each member is going to be pushed and showcased overall. But it's exciting. I can't imagine watching that last week and having any less excitement than you did before it.
Right, exactly.
Definitely. No, agree 100%. So, yeah, there was that. And also another big story that came out this week was the fact that when Raw moves to Netflix, don't have to worry about any restrictions. They got no FCC breathing down their neck.
Baby.
You can say
just like
fuck
this
shit.
podcast.
Exactly. Triple H mentioned, when things happen where the crowd's chanting holy shit, stuff like that, they won't have to worry about it. I don't know if it's going to be as extreme as some people on the online are saying, where like we're going to have full on nudity and whatever, swearing and puppies everywhere. I think it's just going to be as simple as like, okay, we just don't have to be paranoid about staying within FCC restrictions. But I do think, he did mention about getting into some more edgier content, which we've already kind of seen, like, blood is back.
Yeah.
Blood's back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, this isn't like a stop the match because he's bleeding anymore.
No. Unless it's like really, really
Unless
bad.
it's substantially
But,
hurt.
I mean, yeah, there's not just stopping it for like a little cut type
Right, but they're like, you know, even in with CM Punk getting jumped the other day, you know, he's bleeding.
That's even extra crazy because they did that on network television.
That was on
That's
Fox.
not even on cable.
Right, which was kind of, to me, was kind of crazy because I don't know what the rules are after a certain time, what you can do, what you can say, or whatever. But to me, it's like you seeing the blood. To me, on WWE, because I know AEW's been doing it, but like on WWE television, that
It's a
to
big
me was a
deal.
sign that it was like, okay, we're getting back into this now.
Mm-hmm. And that blood, I will say, not to nitpick that segment because, oh my God, it was awesome. And I'm glad Drew showed up, and I know we'll get into it. But that maybe they got to work on the consistency of that blood a little bit. It looked a little too fake around Punk's mouth. You know, and granted, obviously we know that wasn't all real blood. We know what it was. And I love that
none of it was real blood.
Yeah, I feel like they lean into that. And I love that they leaned into it, but it was funny. The close-up, I'm like, what the fuck is that? Consistency.
Yeah.
That's possibly how they also were able to get away with it. They're like, this isn't real blood.
Exactly. I'm
so
sure
don't
they
worry about
sent it out to the folks like, this isn't real.
Right. Like I'm eating it right now on toast. It's fine.
Yeah, no, this is raspberry jam.
Right, exactly.
It ain't that bad. But I do think it's going to open up some opportunities for WWE to be more creative and, you know, not go out there and cut a promo where they're swearing over every other word, but like if they do drop an F-bomb, kind of like what happened with the Vegas press conference.
Or like, or any Rock promo when he came back. Pretty
or
much.
any Rock promo when he came back, which he was doing anyways. But like, you know, where you can really amplify something by using a curse word or whatever, or getting edgy or saying something that...
Because I think the thing that's when we think about that, it's so easy, I think, for some fans to kind of escape reality a bit. And I want to take Dom and Liv's storyline right now.
Right.
That storyline is, you know, I guess push the edge of what the current edge is, but it's still been an amazing storyline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we talked about a little bit, okay, maybe if this was the Attitude Era, there wouldn't have been something under that vest. It would have looked a little different, but they're still killing it. So this is only just going to give them more levels to potentially go to, but not that they need to. It's not in any way a crutch that, okay, now we can lean into this because we're not already killing it anyway. It just gives you that opportunity for kind of that Freudian slip. If you just accidentally say something that maybe you wouldn't have said the otherwise, or you wanted to lean into something, kind of just spark the flame a little bit, you can do that. But the product's in such a good place that this is in no way going to be now a crutch that we have to lean into this.
I think if anything, it's actually probably mostly for like the holy shit chance.
Yeah.
Because which thank God, because I fucking hate when they cut the
they
sound
censor
out on
it.
that completely.
It's like, come on, bro.
Because then everything else is cut out at the same time.
But I think the main thing is I don't think they're gonna lean into like the big cursing like a lot of people online think they're going to right away. Because you got to remember their target audience is still kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Like parents don't want their kids to see people saying "fuck you."
Yeah,
all
Jey
the time.
Uso's not going to be out there fucking swearing up a storm. That's not going to happen.
He's not gonna go out and go yee motherfucker. Like that's not happening.
I wouldn't mind it once.
I would love it, but it's not
one
gonna
time
happen.
wouldn't be that bad.
No, it would. I would love it if he did that, but I'm not, expecting it.
It would be insane if the first episode. What is it? I think like the very first week of January, that first Monday.
I think you're right.
I think is when it happens. It would be funny if the whole it was like 30 minutes nonstop. Just fucking,
I would
just
love it.
words,
I would just love it if they opened it up with like it's time for Monday Night Fucking Raw.
Yeah.
That would be kind of fun. And then never swear again
for like a year. The only
time
time they say it
for like a year, and you have everybody just like you're just like edging the audience of like when is he going to say it next? But I think that's pretty
cool.
cool.
And cuts the most not even PG G promos of all time.
Yeah,
like that's what's gonna happen.
And
though I will take one throwback Heyman promo from like WC, like the promo he did in Todd Gordon. Give me that.
I mean, his
promo.
Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah. That was
do
it.
that.
Exactly. Like that. Those are the moments that I'll appreciate. Just the snarky little comments from Heyman or the that maybe before wouldn't have gone over as well. That now you can kind of get away with.
Yeah.
Bronny James is a Los Angeles Laker.
Oh wow,
that's breaking news for. By the time you watch this, will not be breaking news, but that. Also, everything is pro wrestling.
USA also scored and then didn't.
And then they got called back.
I think they were reviewing it offsides.
Oh, that's what it was. Everything is pro wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it.
We're just leaning in, folks.
You want to talk about factions coming from other parts of the country, the other promotions for Bronny James from college, and then probably wouldn't. I don't even think probably wouldn't have gotten drafted if he wasn't LeBron's son.
I'm just gonna say, congrats to getting drafted, Bronny James. But I'm gonna kick your dad's ass at SummerSlam.
Facts.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I forgotten.
You better not be ringside because
or else I'll get distracted, and I don't want that.
Exactly.
He's 18 now, so we can
Right.
totally try to fight him.
You could beat his ass.
Up,
Fuck you, Bronny.
Which,
Okay.
yeah, that is funny. I drove by the headquarters on the way to New York the other day and took a photo and totally meant to send to you guys and be like, I was here signing your contract.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
You're going to be my manager. I like that.
And it's funny because you drive by the new headquarters now. It's so much bigger and just wider and takes up so much more space. And then on the way back, you see Titan Towers. And now it's like, that was the big thing that when I was a kid. Like, it looks like 2 stories now.
Yeah,
I know.
You
but
can barely even see it from the highway compared to the other one. And I'm like,
it
wow,
was
this
so
thing
cool,
was
though.
It was the best.
Yeah.
Like, you could, just seeing those mirrors, from so far away and then the big sign was like the coolest moment.
Yeah.
Like,
It was really cool to see it.
It was. There was something special about, like, you're driving up to New York, and your dad's just in the front seat being like, all right, look out the window.
Yeah,
And
to the
like,
left. Now
Look
it's time. Yep.
Go wake up,
Right,
look to your
yeah.
left. And
Yep.
it was just like 10 seconds, not
seconds.
even.
Yeah. And you
it was
felt
just
like
seeing
you were
the
there.
logo.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
And
Yep.
all I could ever think of was that promo they did. I remember Austin and so many being
Take
in
the
it.
F
where they-
out.
Yeah, take the F out in Titan Towers.
Or get the F out.
What I actually would always think of is like the 96, 95 opening to Raw where they shot the whole thing on the roof.
On the roof.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
that is
Yes,
true.
that
Yeah.
one's great too.
There's some great promo pics from that of all the
Yeah.
guys up there just hanging in their gear. Yeah.
People also got murdered off of the top of that.
Well, person.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio,
Rey Mysterio
got
got
murdered.
murdered.
On top
Yeah.
of that.
Otis
And
won a
then
Money
just
in the
showed
Bank.
up like a week later. Like
How many
everything
people-
That's,
Well, I mean,
this is 2 people.
AJ Styles
Sikoa
got killed
thrown
too.
off- Yeah.
Did he? I don't think he got thrown. Off.
No, not from the building, but around that same time, AJ Styles got murdered against Undertaker.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Yes. Yeah. He was buried.
Or was it Gallows?
Gallows and Anderson
Gallows
got
and
blown
Anderson.
up.
Yeah, that's right.
They were still on the roof, and then the
That's
whole
right.
fucking building exploded.
Yes.
You're right. To be fair, though, they didn't get seen again for a while because they got cut.
It
like,
wasn't
a
a
week
Chad
later.
Gable.
They
type
came
of
back
Right,
to
it
kill.
life.
wasn't Chad Gable,
Yeah.
Rey
We're gonna
get to
Mysterio,
that.
where they're
That is
showing
true.
back up a week later.
That is true.
Yeah, Titan Towers haunted, maybe
Yeah,
haunted.
Maybe that's
Maybe,
why they
yeah.
left.
Yeah, maybe that's why
It's
they were.
the ghost of Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I mean,
they were like,
yeah,
we got to get
it
the
is
fuck out of
definitely
here.
haunted.
There's not an NDA in the world that can take this whole property
Hell
and every
no.
nook and cranny
No.
in here. Oh, I can imagine what he had in his secret lair at Titan Towers. Oof. That's a WWE Treasures episode if I've ever heard one.
If Matt Lauer had a secret button on his desk,
Yeah.
what do you think Vince
Yeah.
McMahon had?
Yeah.
Probably fucking a trap
It's-
door.
So I agree. It's an episode I want to see. It's not WWE Treasures. It is Dateline. It's a Dateline
Dateline,
episode
sure.
that I want to see.
He just walks in on that office and there's like the T-Rex skull on the
Yeah.
fucking wall, and he's just like, Vince, why don't you have a seat there, Chris Hansen?
Chris Hansen.
Yeah. So that all happened because Bronny James got drafted.
Yep, that's how we
to
got
the
that.
Lakers. So
Damn it.
so
I
congratulations.
love our tangents.
Listen, we got
Yeah.
ADHD like every other wrestling
Oh,
fan in
man.
the world. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, and also, wow, can't believe it's been 22 minutes, and I haven't mentioned this. Yes, I am a tornado survivor. Thank you
Yeah.
everybody for acknowledging
Yeah, shout out
that.
to
I
you,
survived
man.
the tornado.
The tree. That might be the image of the
How
for the
was
pod this
Oz?
week. It's just the tree.
Awful.
Yeah.
Smells like shit.
That sounds right. I mean, because the witch.
The
Wicked Witch. Like, I feel like-
hasn't bathed in
And the wings,
80 years.
the wings on the monkeys, those have got to be hard to like reach to clean out.
They don't clean between the wings.
Yeah, I feel like probably not.
Smells bad. No, the tornado.
Also, I've heard Yellow Brick Road, not yellow, it's rotten cheese.
yeah.
So,
Don't eat
Also
the cheese.
smells terrible.
well, yeah.
And piss. It smells like rotten cheese and piss.
Well, they're both yellow, so it could
I
be.
can take responsibility for at least half
Next
of
time
that.
they got to jump you off in the other Oz that had Michael Jackson in it. That's probably
That's
RIP, yeah.
that's probably more fun.
No, that's the Wiz.
the Wiz. Okay, the Wiz.
Which-
yeah.
Is R. Kelly there?
Well, no, you just loved it.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Which is it's actually a really good movie
No, it is,
until
it
the
is.
end, and then you're like, oh, this is fucking weird. Oh, this is weird as shit right now.
Young Michael in that movie is hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's great. He's the Scarecrow, right?
Yes.
I remember
yeah,
correctly,
yeah,
yeah.
he's Scarecrow.
Damn, he
And
plays.
also-
Diana Ross's Dorothy,
Diana
right?
Ross.
Yeah.
He plays
Dorothy.
scary characters really well. I mean, the Thriller music video,
It's not a character.
or a movie,
It's,
whatever the fuck it was, you scared the
She's
shit
him.
out of me.
But
Yeah.
it's funny. I saw a picture that we're going there. So I saw pictures today of Janet Jackson at a concert. You know, I do the meet and greets, you take pictures, and it was a Michael Jackson doppelganger.
Oh, I saw that. The
Yeah.
impersonator.
And
Yeah.
it was perfect because the person who retweeted it was like, "Yo, shout out to celebrities because for you to be able to hold your composure and smile while you have this guy dressed up as your dead brother next
Yeah.
to you,
Yeah.
it's got to be fucking weird."
Your dead
Although-
brother during like the worst part of
Yes,
his life.
yeah.
To tie
Yeah.
back to the weirdest conspiracy theory of all time.
Still alive.
Could
Still
still
with
be
us.
alive.
Still
Not
alive.
a dead brother. Just
No.
like the conspiracy theory
Yeah.
we mentioned at the beginning of the show. Not a dead brother.
Maybe Michael Jackson's still out there.
Yeah,
Is he the sixth member of the Wyatt Six?
that would be.
You heard it here
Great.
first.
If Okay, there you go. There's the wildest conspiracy of this show. It took 17 episodes. Is
That's
Michael
really Uncle
Jackson actually the 6th member of the Wyatt Six? You heard it here first. If it happens, credit
Only
us.
time will tell.
99.
If he is and he doesn't debut doing the Thriller dance, I'm out. I'm not going to watch wrestling anymore. That's a slam dunk.
No, he needs to come down like Sting from the rafters.
No, he's got to come out in the red suit and just doing the
like a moonwalk all the way down the
Thriller
stairs.
I mean, the red jacket,
need
like in the
this bit.
Thriller music video.
Great
He's
jacket.
just doing the Thriller dance.
There's some.
And then the Wyatt Six joins in with him,
That
obviously.
I mean, they all looked apart.
Right?
So it's
Yeah.
not,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Nikki Cross's face kind of looks like Michael towards the end.
Yeah.
not an indictment on Nikki, an indictment on Michael.
Yeah, also hers is a mask.
Yeah.
His was his actual.
His wasn't
His
technically
actual-
a mask.
His was his
His was a
actual face.
It wasn't technically a mask, but like
it was made of the same amount of plastic.
it
Yeah.
was synthetic.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you consider Dwight putting another face on? Did you consider that a mask?
Yeah, because it's a fake face.
Fake? Okay. Because
It's
that
not,
was
it's not like a
very...
human face. It's
That
the
was,
face of
that
the
was
of
very
the
much
CPR
what
dummy.
Michael was giving at that
is
time
true.
when he was hanging babies over
That's
balconies.
fair. Oh yeah.
You know, he went through some weird times,
did.
man.
He
But he's
did.
still the GOAT.
Music-
man.
yeah,
Put-
music
put
was
some damn
phenomenal.
respect
So-
on his name. You know, he's innocent.
I mean,
shout out to
Thriller is
him.
one of the best albums of the '80s.
Oh, so good.
Of all
And
time.
Bad was a phenomenal follow-up.
Of all time. I mean, he just
Yeah.
has so many classics.
Yeah.
How are we talk? What? How do we get to Michael Jackson? But I
sorry.
love it.
Because
I'm not mad.
Bronny James got drafted.
Oh yeah,
by the
Bronny
Lakers.
James got drafted by the
God
Lakers.
damn it.
So we have.
Nepotism started this.
Yeah. Damn it. He was still.
I will say, I'm going to go on record. I do think Bronny James eventually will be a good professional basketball player. I don't think he's ready yet. I think, to
Yeah.
your point earlier, Mike, if he was anybody else's kid, he would still be in college. But I do think he has some skills, and obviously, we know he has the pedigree. I think he's going to be a decent pro.
I guess define
Not a great pro.
decent is my
Decent. I
thing.
think he'll be in the league for like 7 or 8 years.
Oh, definitely.
Play for a few teams,
Just on his name
get a
alone,
couple
he will,
different
yeah.
contracts, and be a serviceable player. But this also goes. I was actually explaining this to my wife. Is typically when you have a father and son or brothers, you always have one who's here and one who's usually kind of here.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you see them close. Like I think of Barry and Bobby Bonds, who were close for a little bit, and then Barry became the greatest of all time, in my opinion.
Ken Griffey Jr. is
Get him in the Hall of
Listen,
Fame.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
Ken.
his-
He's probably 2, but
Yeah, that's.
No, Griffey's
I'm
way
on the
better
Barry
than
Bonds
Bonds.
train.
Flanagan's
Maybe
guy.
because of all the
Griffey
shit
didn't have
that's
to take
against him.
steroids, so you know.
Hey,
Whatever.
Barry didn't even need the steroids. He was that good with before
Yeah,
them.
but Griffey was still better than him then.
Yes. Oh, I love Griffey. But that
They expect this to be the debate we were going to have today, but I will die on this hill.
Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, oh,
like
yeah.
you usually see one who reaches all these heights and then one who doesn't always. It's never where they're both at the same plateau. And LeBron is arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. So there's no way Bronny's going to get there. So poor kid, feel for him.
Emphasis on
Do you wanna-
There's also
do you wanna
another
jump
kid.
in on this
No,
one,
I
too?
don't.
There's also
All right.
another kid who's coming up too.
But you know
Bryce,
what I
who
was-
might be the best
100%.
one.
I agree with you on that one.
What? Where are we going?
Well,
know,
when you said
I just
LeBron's
said-
arguably the greatest of all time,
Arguably.
I
I said
didn't know if Mike wanted
arguably.
to jump in
All
on
right,
this.
that's why I said arguably because I would say he is.
Because Mike feels
but I
about
know
the
a
other
lot
guy
of
the way I feel about Griffey.
Right.
Michael.
Michael.
Yeah,
of
100%.
course. the
And you
GOAT.
can't argue that.
Come on.
You can't argue it.
He
You can't argue
changed
it.
the world.
Yeah.
The world, yeah.
He
yeah.
did.
Second
did.
biggest MJ of all time, behind the one we just talked about.
Wow. This is a bit. We need one more MJ for a rule of 3.
Montel
Mary
Jordan.
Jane- so Mary Jane-
Montel Jordan.
Oh.
This is how we do
I mean,
it.
That is.
Who the hell
I was
golfed
gonna
and
come-
drank
I-
all day today? Me or you guys?
I was
What the
going
fuck?
to talk about Mary
I-
Jane
I've
from
gone
Stark
four
from
hours of sleep
Spider-Man
in the
because
last
they
2
call
days.
her MJ, but all right.
Yeah.
That's true.
I don't ever remember anybody calling Montel Jordan MJ as his
No.
nickname. That would be so funny if they did.
Hey, this is Montel Jordan. You might have heard this is how you do it. People call him MJ. He was popular in the 90s.
He probably
Nobody
called
called him
himself
MJ.
MJ. At that time, he
Yeah.
absolutely went.
He
He was
was-
like, "Call me MJ."
He was probably the third most famous MJ of the 90s behind Jordan and Mary Jane.
McDonald's Jr. I probably was more popular at that. No disrespect to
Hey.
Montel. Shout out to Montel.
Montel now
but
hosts a
Michael's
talk
is-
show.
Michael's a good name, and not that Montel. The one we're talking about, not the original Montel.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Jesus.
We are. This is.
We're gonna get back. We'll
This
get
is
back.
direct-
Do
Rail
we want to
City.
keep going off the rails? Because I've had a thought in my head the whole, like, all day for
I mean,
some
you gotta
reason,
get it
and I
out
wasn't.
now.
I
I
think-
wasn't going to bring
You
it up.
gotta say,
but-
get the thought out, and then we get
but
back
this
on
is-
the rails.
This is
Right
also,
now.
Get back
this
on
is
the
actually
rails.
also a great way to get us back on track, at least wrestling wise. Have you guys ever thought if you could pick any commercially licensed song, what you pick as your wrestling theme song?
Return of the Mac.
Ooh,
That's my
Good
walk-up
one.
song. That's any song that I'm coming out to. Yeah, I'll take it. Mark Morrison, Return of the Mac.
I think in the past I had ones that I thought would be it, but there was one recently that I listened to where I was like, yeah, this would be it. I have to try to remember it. But there was a song recently that I was listening to.
$1 Million Baby.
No, it was. I think it was the. It was DJ Khaled. my God, what was it? It was a remix to a Kanye song that he did.
Sounds right. Why you would pick that as
it
your
would have been a Kanye song.
Right,
Yeah.
No, it was it was on the DJ Khaled album. Dr. Dre remixed one of Kanye's gospel songs. What the hell was the one?
Fire.
Use This Gospel. It's a Use This Gospel, has Eminem on it, the remix. But the beginning of it has a long intro, and when the beat comes in, I can just picture all the lights going off. For copyright reasons, I can't play it.
Right.
But I'll play it for you guys afterwards so you can envision it with me. The beginning is so fire, the lights go off, and it's like blue lights, like kind of going all over the place. And then that beat drops, and I walk out, and then Kanye's chorus hits. And by the time I get to the ring, you're basically into the first verse when you can cut it. That I envisioned it when I heard it.
That's why I thought of mine as well. A different song, obviously, but mine would be Prince's Little Red Corvette. Because it's got like a long kind of build up, and then you could be in the ring for the little red court part.
Exactly.
So like if the crowd would pop for it, sing along to it, type of thing. That's what I would pick for mine.
That's what it does in the song. So everybody sings with it too.
Right.
I'll play it for you guys after.
Yeah.
It's super fire. Sorry, YouTube, get rid of copyright so I can feed the people, please.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just look the songs we mentioned up on your own and listen to them because they're great songs in general.
We're gonna do a speed round because we're against it. By the way, shout out to Steve Fall is joining us today. I know that I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning. What was that?
Said we buried the lead.
We buried the lead.
Sorry,
on
Steve.
this episode, it feels right that it came at this point in time.
Steve Fall of 10 Count Media. You've seen his content. He's one of the best wrestling content creators that exist. Awesome dude. I had a chance to meet him in Providence. There was an autograph signing or like a convention, and I got to meet him and chopped it up. I said, we'd love to have you on the show sometime if he's giving us his time. That's coming up a little bit later.
Oh, yeah.
But to look back on it, another massive story from the week that we have. Again, we're getting back to wrestling. That was fun, though.
That was.
Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
Timu Bloodline continuing to grow.
Timu Bloodline.
We knew about this, though, for a while.
Yes, we knew he'd been signed for a while. It was just a matter of when was he going to debut.
And how was he going to debut?
A rumor I had heard, which now I've heard another rumor that I'll come back to in a minute that kind of goes against this. The original rumor was they were holding him off because they thought he was going to get better reactions than Solo Sikoa, and they didn't want that. But then I also heard because he had like criminal charges against him when he was 18,
Right.
they were like, we don't know if he can do international shows, so we're going to hold off his debut till those are kind of done for a bit. Because I think there's only one more. I think just Bastard. Well, I guess technically Money in the Bank, but Bastard Berlin's the only like real fully international.
Right.
Yeah, because there was, I believe it was Mark Henry mentioned that he had wanted to bring Jacob Fatu over for years, and because of the legal trouble and some of the out of the ring stuff that had never happened. But he's like, he could have been here 10 years ago.
Right.
But I also do. It definitely does go away after a while because the Usos had those problems for a while because they weren't allowed in Canada for a bit, but then they were in Saudi Arabia doing matches. They were in other countries doing matches. So at some point he will be able to. He may even now be able to go international. That I don't know. I just know.
And that makes sense.
That's why they held off.
You know,
on him.
WWE is obviously going to do everything above board. They're not going to go and bring someone in and do some stuff to be like, do they have a visa? Do they not? Do we have this? Do we have that? They're not going to take those chances if they're not sure they can utilize them and get all of the money. But to your point that you just made, I thought the pop was awesome.
Yes.
I think the pop is probably better than any solo pop at this point.
100%. I think he's much better than Solo. With all due respect,
I think
to Solo.
all members of the Timu Bloodline are better than Solo.
Yeah.
Can we admit that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Maybe if Solo wasn't being pushed as,
but that's why, like, he shouldn't be the mouthpiece.
But
Like,
see,
he needs to be the quiet enforcer.
I like it because I kind of like that they're better than him. Like, there's something about it that appeals to me. Of him, I'm the leader, but these guys are actually better than me.
But this feels very much like early Roman, nowhere near the star.
Yeah.
But, or even like what Roman had already accomplished with the Shield and everything. He was already at a way higher place than Solo is now.
Yes.
But it feels very much of like you're kind of throwing this guy in this position. And I know it's kind of like trolly, right? Where he's like being like this bitch,
right.
you know, like I'm the head of the table now. Roman isn't coming back. He's not listening to the wise man. But also like it's kind of sucks. I kind of just don't. I wish he just still was silent, and they still were kind of trying to make it. Because I think to me is if you kept the bloodline the same as what it was, where Roman, you know, is still the head of the table, and they were still acknowledging him as their tribal chief, and you allowed Paul Heyman to do all the talking. Him coming back, you could still be like, well, weren't you didn't hold your end of the bargain? Like if they were, I don't know. To me, it just doesn't feel right.
But I also think, and I could be way off base here, but I actually think they're doing this for when kind of sooner than we think they're going to turn Solo face. Because I think when The Rock comes back, it's going to be revealed he was the head of the table all the line, and he's going to kick Solo out. And we're going to get the OG bloodline back of Uso, Solo, and Roman. They're going to... Because you got to remember, Solo and Usos are brothers.
Yeah,
he's legitimately their brothers, so they welcome him back. They finally, there'll probably be matches involved between Solo and Roman somewhere, but then,
versus
they'll reconnect.
The new bloodline.
Exactly. And then that's where we'll
Tonga's
eventually lead
Fatu, maybe a Hukuleo.
because then you can even book the whole thing of, the not Gorillas of Destiny, but Gorillas of Destiny versus the Usos. You do Jacob Fatu versus Solo. You do
Samoans
Rock versus
the
Roman.
Tongans.
That's a whole WrestleMania right there, those 4 matches.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And that's the thing, because we had talked originally about maybe Jacob Fatu comes back and he's face, and he's on the other side of that, and we see Solo, who we thought was the heir apparent from The Rock, at least what we talked about with the Spike acknowledgement. So, again, so many goddamn ways that this can go. Yeah. Loved the debut. I thought he was strong. He came in there. He was forceful. The camera angle on Solo, the way they set it up was awesome. He went in there. It was clear. One thing that I thought was a little interesting was the Tonga's look when Jacob got in, and they were both acknowledged. They were kind of like, wait, what's going on here? As if they didn't know, or there's something more to that. I feel like we always read into the acknowledgments when they're standing there because it's so easy to read all their faces. But I did pick up on that, and I was like, oh, is that a little curious? Maybe they're just leaning into like, oh, shit, we didn't know he's actually going to show up. Mm-hmm. Or like, wait, what the fuck? We didn't know he was coming at all. Right. So that is also going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
I also really loved Solo's terrible over-the-top laughing. That was so good in the way it wasn't supposed to be good.
Yes, yeah. And I think that's the line he teeters on a little bit too much, where there's like, you're doing too much here, you're trying too hard. Yeah. Sometimes funny, like even when he said to him the other day he's not coming back, and he's like, I love you.
Right.
And it's just like, you can't help but laugh.
Relax, bro. Hilarious. Like, chill out. But shout out to the Temu Bloodline.
But I do think now with the Samoan Werewolf addition, are they? I don't know if they can be Temu anymore. Maybe they've upgraded to like Wish Bloodline.
Is Wish better or worse?
Sheen,
AliExpress. Which shout out to AliExpress. They are now an official partner of the Copa America. I said this the other day. I'm like, AliExpress had all the fake shit. Bro, AliExpress is now an official partner of one of the biggest tournaments in the world.
So AliExpress flipped. Okay, they sold out. You sold out because, like you said, Flanny, AliExpress used to be like, oh, wait, I want the new, like this jersey is probably from AliExpress at some point because I don't think this is a real, like, Kevin Durant jersey. It's a pretty good knockoff, though. It's a pretty good knockoff.
100%.
I bought it on Poshmark for like $30. But AliExpress used to be like, oh, you want a fake soccer jersey? Let's go to AliExpress. You want the new Portugal kits? They'd come in. Yeah, then the number might be slightly crooked.
It's going to take 2.5 months.
Yeah.
But you're only going to spend $20 total.
For like 3 kits. So, but now all of a sudden they're an official partner of the Euros?
That fucked me up. That fucked me up.
I was like, wait a minute.
Career arc.
What happened here?
Can I just say, this might be my favorite episode we've ever done. We've gotten so
listen,
off the rails so many
in
times.
the words
I love everything about it.
In the words of the legendary American booker, Tony Khan, we are booking... We usually book for just the fucking people who are here and want to see blood and all that, but now we're booking for other audiences. We're trying to bring other audiences here.
I mean that, but also I feel like this episode's for us. This one's for the 3 of us.
This one's for the boys.
Yeah.
All right? We're 17 episodes deep.
It was time we did one for us.
Yeah, we're 17. It's like 17 when you know uncles give you those first few beers and you're off the rails. That's where we are.
Yeah, I've had more than a few beers today. Let me just.
Where we are.
First of all,
I've had a long day at work, so
I've had 4 hours of sleep in the last 2 days total. So I'm all fucked up.
I am a tornado survivor.
That's true.
People do not acknowledge me, okay?
Mike's been to Oz.
I've been to Oz
and not
today.
The prison, I think.
Last night, okay, since we're going there, guys, I hope that our wrestling fans that follow this podcast also enjoy us now at this point for us.
I hope this isn't your first episode as a new viewer. You're like,
I'm
what
so
the
sorry.
fuck? Please go back and watch the other 16. I think you'll enjoy them.
We usually...
If this is your first episode, I'm very sorry.
Yeah. Last night, I'm peacefully sleeping, and I don't know if you guys maybe weren't in the area, so you didn't. Did you get the notification?
Oh, I got it. We lost power.
I shut that off on my phone because it used to wake me up at like 2 in the morning. I'm like, fuck that. I don't want that anymore.
Last week there was one in Mass, 911 out in Mass. Did you guys get that one?
Yeah, I got that one.
Fucking creepy.
But we record here in Massachusetts. Majority of us live or work in Rhode Island, and there was a massive storm that came through. It was fairly quick, but it was electric.
Yeah.
No pun intended, because there was a lot of lightning in the sky. Get this notification that, my house is going to blow away. It's like, it's tornado warning. If you are on the 2nd floor, get to the basement now. Like, it literally says now. All the news people on Twitter, get to the basement if you're in this area. And of course, it is right in my area. Like the brightest color of the Doppler is my house. And yeah, I mean, my street got fucked up. I woke during it. It felt like my house was shaking so bad. I'm thinking there's so much shit happening around my house. There's probably trees uprooted that might come through my window right now. I woke up. Thankfully, we survived that. Woke up in the morning. My street was a damn disaster. Yeah. There was trees down everywhere. A massive tree blocking my street, so I couldn't even leave. So I got a free day off.
Saw a man digging his tree out of the grass on the way here.
Yeah. So shit popped off, and yes, and look where I am right now. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing it for the people. Acknowledge me.
Well, except this week, it's for us. We're doing this for us.
We're doing this week for us because I'm here for you, and I survived a tornado. Salute.
And if you're enjoying us doing this for us, you're my favorite person.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah. That's why it's called Everything is Pro Wrestling.
Exactly.
Everything is pro wrestling. At the end of the day,
it's everything.
So, yeah, we had some debuts this week. We had some very deep moments, but we are gearing up for Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Chad Gable is alive. That was good to find out.
He's alive, man.
He went to Miracle Max's. They gave him a nice little chocolate pill. Found out he was only mostly dead.
Mostly.
He just visited the gulag.
Reference that if you get quickly. That, you're once again my favorite person.
It's funny because Triple H acknowledged it on McAfee, where he's like, we put a little blood in his temple, and people thought he got shot in the head. Like that was funny to read.
You know what? Shout out to Pat for owning it. He's like, it was probably on us. We did also say that a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And even like McAfee Stooges were like, well, you kind of put it like a gunshot right in the temple with it dripping down like it was a fucking.
It looked like an assassination.
It did look like he got shot in the head. Sorry that we thought a guy got shot in the head when it looked like he got shot in the head.
So he's alive. He came back. He had a Money in the Bank qualifying match. So he's all in now at this point.
And he won.
And he won.
A week after getting shot in the head, he beat the two biggest guys on the roster practically.
But we know he's now in the mix for the heavyweight title. That is where he is now trending towards. And we got our first tease, ladies and gentlemen, of who might be accompanying him going forward.
Yep. Oh, yeah. We saw the Academy That is Alpha.
Yeah.
The new version, I should say. We saw the Creed brothers. We saw Ivy Nile. Perfect timing, as we mentioned. Soon as he
just
turned
tend
away
to
from
show
Otis,
up at that time.
Be there, Backstage area isn't that big, so yeah, that was cool. How we teased it. Obviously, still waiting and hoping that they're not bailing completely on any of this Otis stuff.
It really feels like that's where it's going.
The way Otis went the other day, he was like, "No, like we're done," and I was like, "Okay, get that you're going to say that."
Maxine also kept it around though.
The fact that it's twice in a week, that it's in a backstage segment that Otis is saying that, and not like some promo.
I hope they're not bailing on it.
It does. I'm going to be optimistic in saying they're not, but it feels like they're leaning towards. We're going to kind of push this aside now.
I think so. But I also think that the reason why they kept Maxine around at the end for her to be like, let me talk to him. I think that they're leaving the door open for it, and I don't think it's done. I just don't know if that payoff is going to be as soon as we may have thought originally, because if he is going to be involved in the Money in the Bank,
which he's going to be in the
it's also a risk, though, because like you run the risk of that being completely cool. Then when you go back to it, people don't give a shit anymore.
No, that's
true.
Like
it's the hottest it is right now. Like you kind of want to capitalize on it now.
And now he's qualified for the Money in the Bank match after we thought he died. So we already know what he's locked in for the next PLE.
Yep.
What are they going to do with him this coming Monday? TBD. I don't know. And what are they going to do with Otis?
He'll get stabbed.
Maybe
they're going to kill him somewhere else.
There's so much to be said about, again, we said it last week, the only current performer in that backstage promo, Wyatt Six, the only one. So I think that speaks volumes of Triple H knew he was going on McAfee, knew what they were doing. So like that was the guy they wanted to answer questions about. That was the guy they wanted on the spot. That was the guy they wanted making that entrance with the added security and all that. So clearly they're behind him. It wasn't an accident that he was that person. So, yeah, it does make me think that he's going to go to the moon, and that's awesome. I just hope similar last week, it's like there's got to be a payoff in here for Otis, Maxine, and Tozawa somewhere. Clearly, we know Chad's going to get his payoff one way or the other. I hope that they're just not casualties of this.
Right.
No pun intended, Chad.
Also, this was Chad's first big win in a while. I kind of joked about next week he's going to get stabbed. Maybe that's like a training exercise.
That's
he's just trying.
Get
murdered one week, you win your big match the next week. If he gets stabbed this Monday, he'll win the Money in the Bank at the pay-per-view that Saturday.
It could very well become that.
So, maybe he's going to the Wyatt Six and the guy's here. Just chill.
Right in the heart. I don't know. I do think that they will keep it around for a little bit longer, but I don't know if it's the long-term thing that we expected. And it's kind of done its job. Otis is over. I just really hope they don't fuck it up. I hope they don't fuck him up. And we shall see. We shall see where that goes with that. Money in the Bank, I think, is going to be really good. I like that they've already addressed the fact that like we're not getting a title defense in regards to the WWE Championship because there's a 6-man tag.
Yeah.
Yep.
That they announced,
Yep.
Which is good. It gets Cody being the fighting champion, but also like not having to defend his title every PLE because that can get old.
Plus, it's going to help make the world title feel bigger.
Big time.
That's going to be the only major title defended. That's going to help that feel big.
Which is, I think they're doing a good job with.
I agree.
In all honesty.
Yeah.
The fact that Drew is that bullshit about it.
Yeah.
The fact that like Damien's been holding his own, still not 100% on his promos. I don't know if I believe him 1,000% yet. And the fact that Seth is back and he's like, I need that back.
Yep.
Gunther came out and was like, by the way, motherfuckers,
I'm
I'll
next.
see you at
We talked
SummerSlam.
about the last week. He hadn't been on TV, and now
Yep.
boom. So we know Trips is listening. Had him right back on TV last week. I thought exceptionally well
So
done.
there's your levels to that title and your prestige being built. I love that. I love that about that because it's so easy to just look at Cody's title and be like, that's the one.
Yep.
They're really building up that other title. So yeah, Money in the Bank, I think is going to be a pivotal PLE. I think it's going to be really fun. It's obviously going to set up whoever wins the briefcase. It's going to set up some crazy storylines going forward for that.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see who they put it on.
Right. That's the thing.
Yeah.
There's really no like heavy favorite.
No.
No. And I think the only one, obviously, Drew went on record last week is like, I'm going to win it, and then I'm cashing in that same night in X, Y, and Z. But I don't
Gable?
think that's what I'm saying. I don't think Drew's going to win
Jey
it.
Uso's still in it.
Yeah, I
Jey
mean,
Uso's
I
in
can
it,
see
Who
Jay.
I kind of hope doesn't win personally. I personally like the Money in the Bank to be for like a mid-card guy
Someone who
who's
needs
like
that
right
elevation.
near the
Yeah.
main event level.
Yeah.
I don't want it on an already established guy who doesn't need it.
Right.
You give it to
100%.
somebody as the launching pad to
And
the next
ironically
step.
enough, just in the
Like a
last
Chad
week,
Gable.
Yeah.
But I even think just in the last week alone, they're already starting to elevate Chad to where he doesn't necessarily need it either. I think it goes in with the storyline, him getting it, but like they're positioning him where he doesn't necessarily need. Like you said, like we just say, just beat two of the biggest guys in the company.
Which is why the one I currently want to see win it the most is Andrade.
okay.
Because
Andrade
he's in
would be
it.
cool.
He qualified on the SmackDown side.
And I love
he's
how he
definitely somebody
qualified,
who
man.
needs it to get to that next level,
Yeah.
even though like he kind
Yeah.
of should be at that next level
should
already,
be.
but that's whatever. But like that could be a great launching pad for him to get to that next
And that
level.
was a
put the Money in
solid
the
match.
Bank on.
That finisher
Yeah.
was so clean the way that was done and executed. So yeah, we know what he can do. We've
Right.
seen it through multiple promotions, all up and down North America. Like he's always crushed it and killed it. So
Yeah, it's been the heavyweight title scene, the world heavyweight title scene. I think is really good right now.
Yeah.
And then Intercontinental, you have Bron Breakker, Sheamus. You know, I'm drawing a blank right now. Who did Bron Breakker fight on Monday?
Didn't he fight
you open.
Oh
the
my God.
show. What the
Ludwig
fuck?
Kaiser?
Ludwig
yeah,
Kaiser.
yeah,
Okay, I'm
Jesus.
like I was drawing a blank. Ludwig
Who
Kaiser,
Called him Braun
unfortunately
Strowman.
got injured.
like real
yeah.
life.
And also called him Ron
He
Strowman.
did.
Yeah,
He recovered well, but
did,
I
yeah.
called it though. He did get hurt.
Yeah.
Like
From
real
what
life
I've
injured?
read a report that he's legit. I don't know the severity of it, but the report I read was he legit got hurt.
well,
on Monday.
I loved. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate because I think he's been doing
yeah.
really well
He's
too. And I
hopefully,
think
hopefully it's just a minor. Like I said, I
Yeah.
didn't see a report. Hopefully it's just a minor thing. He's just going to be out like a week or two.
yeah, and I think that he's been great in his role and could be like a solid like heel Intercontinental mid card
yeah.
guy.
Yeah. I am honestly.
They need
maybe,
that.
maybe you put
Yes.
the belt on him before you, but I'm totally ready for him to. I guess not break from Gunther. Like obviously we saw Vinci just disappeared and it didn't go well. But like I could see him and Gunther like an amicable split where Kaiser goes and does his thing. I think he's good. I mean, I know we just mentioned the slip of calling Bron Breakker Braun Strowman, but he's usually really good on the mic.
Right.
His ring IQ, his moves and mannerisms are so good, so elevated. So
Yeah, he's good, and you can tell he's ready to separate from the Gunther.
Yeah.
I also don't even necessarily need to see them separate. Like put a title on each of them, make it almost like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
small
Yep.
evolution type of thing.
I'd be fine with that too.
And I think perfect time to do it. You got Bastard Berlin coming up.
Yep.
Kaiser's German. Put the title on him in Berlin.
I think that. Could
I
be
think
cool.
that makes sense,
That
and
could be
they're
cool.
building towards that, but you still have to worry about the Bron and the
yeah.
Sheamus.
Right.
And I love. Here's what I love about Bron Breakker. He plays that perfect tweener.
Yes.
Where it's like you have to love him because of his absolute psychopathic, athletic ability. But he also he's like, Sheamus, fuck you.
Right.
I'm gonna spear your dumbass because you were the reason why I lost.
Right.
So
and they said it in commentary.
Thank you for helping
perfect.
me, but no,
They were
thank
like,
you.
last week it was Kaiser, this week is Sheamus. But either way, Braun's getting screwed in this because they're fucking up his matches, and that's exactly how he should be booked. And I love that they're booking him that way. I'm not going to say he's Austin, but I always think of Austin when I think of that heel who is that really tweener because everyone loves him and he goes over so well and he does everything. I think Braun can be in that same exact mold. Obviously, he can go either way. I think eventually we'll obviously see that babyface turn, full for babyface turn, but I love that they got him in that middle and just ride that wave. You don't need to put him in a box, especially him. He's the last person you should put in a box.
Fucking just let him be his uncle.
Be him. Yeah, his uncle and his dad
was the same way. Like his uncle was the same
to
character, whether he was supposed to be a face or a heel. He was still Big Papa Pump. So just let Braun Breaker just be Braun Breaker the whole time.
Yeah. I think that, he's been booked really well. The Intercontinental scene is pretty good. I don't know if Sami's keeping this longer than...
Berlin's the latest.
I think he's maybe got a couple PLEs left at most, maybe SummerSlam, but that's if you're really going to elevate somebody like a Braun. Sheamus is not somebody that they're going to save a SummerSlam Intercontinental win for. I don't think.
Win it at Money in the Bank.
And then drop it to
Kaiser
in Berlin or something,
which is after SummerSlam, I think.
Yeah,
and that would make a lot of sense because that gives him the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Sheamus.
Yes.
And then it's also, we know he doesn't need the belt. And granted, I don't know Sheamus from a hole in the wall, but I can almost guarantee Sheamus would be like, totally fine. I will do the job.
Oh, absolutely.
Whatever you need me to do, I will do the job. So, I can see that happening. That'd be cool. Thought on Zayn. I've seen this float around. We were talking about the Bloodline, the feud, the Civil War that we know is going to happen. Do we think that even though there's going to be plenty of Tongans, plenty of Samoans to have your team for probably War Games or whatever it is, do we see an opportunity for Sami to come back in with that original Bloodline?
Do we see an honorary Uso come back?
Do we see the honorary Uso? Because I think if anyone, to that point, if anyone is going to kind of infiltrate that, it would be the honorary Uso because the pop's going to be awesome. The chemistry is there, and it's so believable because we already saw it.
I feel like I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself here because I feel like it would be cool to see, but it feels like it would be a step back for Sami.
That's my thought.
That's also why I kind of don't want to see it.
That's my thought because I'm like, if he drops the belt and he's not in that main event picture, certainly not on the caliber of the many guys who are in that main event picture, to the point we just made, is that where you put him because it's going to go over well, but is it a slight? Does he look at it as a slight? Does the company look at it as a slight? Is that then again how he reignites? I don't know. I was kicking around. I wonder if and how he plays a role in that.
Yeah.
I don't hate it because I think it would be really cool to see. It'd be a huge pop if he goes back to him. But it does feel like, we've already seen this.
Yeah, and it also defeat the purpose of your full Bloodline Civil War.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that. It's been.
Oh, and on that, I want to mention too. Rest in peace, Sikoa.
Oh,
yes, that's right. Yeah,
I want to make sure we mention that as well as we're talking the Bloodline. I know you mentioned and you shared your interview with Rikishi.
Yeah, that
and
was
his
wild,
comments that he shared on his uncle. Which that tweet was awesome for anyone who didn't check that out. Obviously, so many comments from the family. He was obviously a pillar of that Bloodline, and one of the few who was there at the very beginning and kind of started this whole thing. So rest in peace. Thoughts to the whole family and everyone in his circle. Yeah,
for sure, man. And it's always tough to lose a legend, but I mean, think about the path that he's paved for maybe the most important family in the wrestling business. I mean, currently standing.
Yeah, I mean, the only other family that comes close is very tainted now in
the McMahons. Yeah. But so tough news, but the legacy continues. Yeah. We're gonna hold it here because there are some things we still have to get to, but Steve Fall. We're gonna get to him. We went on some crazy rants today, but it's all been good shit. And
we're probably not done.
Probably not done.
Be ready for that.
So we're gonna get to check in with our friend Steve Fall from 10 Count Media, and we'll talk to you guing in a few. Welcome back, Everything is Pro Wrestling Podcast, joined by a very special guest, one of the best wrestling content creators, interviewers that exist. He's being very humble right now. Steve Fall from 10 Count Media. Man, thank you so much for joining us.
What's going on? It's a pleasure to be here. When you get invited to these things, usually people want to ask you about Taylor Swift questions, but nope, not today.
Damn it, you saw the rundown, Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
I did see the rundown.
Yeah, I know. That's funny. I feel like have you talked about that moment ad nauseum at this point, or?
I have actually, if we talk about it right now, this would be the first time I've ever on camera talked about that night and what exactly happened to me after I asked about Taylor Swift. So If you want to ask, go for it.
Yeah, well, let's get into
now
it.
we have to.
Yeah, because I feel like obviously anything Taylor Swift related, and it comes to especially viral clips, come with the Swifties. Did you feel a little bit of the Swiftie fierceness or vitriol that they bring?
No, the opposite. Actually, they were very supportive, and
okay.
they loved the idea of Taylor Swift really doing anything. It was the wrestling fans that absolutely lost their minds. And I'm not talking about like, oh, you stink. It was like death threats.
Yeah.
There were, I hope you die. You're the dumbest person in the world. Blah, 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 blah. But I kept saying, I kept saying to people, I was like, listen, I know you don't like it, but guess what? With Taylor Swift on NFL games, did the ratings not go up? Yes, they did. It's proven fact. So my technique in that press conference that day was, let's ask this Taylor Swift question. And because I know it's going to hit, and it did. I didn't know how it hit. But when I asked about Taylor Swift, I think it was the way I asked about it. And I've talked to a few people about that night. And one of the thoughts, someone was like, well, I was mad. Someone said to me, like, I was mad at you because not everyone gets to ask Io Sky or Dakota Kai or Bailey a question. You got to do that, and you chose to ask about Taylor Swift. And I was like, I understand that completely. I understand that part of it. But what I was looking for was headlines, and I knew if I asked about Taylor Swift, it would work. And guess what? The WWE that night on all their social media, they didn't put out the question where someone asked about, are you upset about Edge leaving the WWE for AEW? No, they took that Taylor Swift question because they wanted that same Taylor Swift audience to click on their crap, to hoping that they click on other things that they had up on their social media accounts.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it, like you said, you could see it in the NFL. People that did not care about football were going to football games. They were watching the Super Bowl. You know, it just conveniently the Chiefs made the Super Bowl that year, this past year. So
yeah, conveniently,
very, very convenient.
It's not rigged.
No, you know, we're gonna try to avoid the conspiracies here, but I do agree in that sense where it's like, you don't have to be a fan of hers to understand that she brings the engagements and she brings the clicks. So not a bad question by you, Steve. And I hope that we're not a representation of the wrestling world as a whole, because we know how much they can, anger they can bring. But I'm sorry you had to experience that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. The reason I really did ask that question too is another reason was I was in Puerto Rico for Backlash last year, and I asked Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I was like, oh, I've heard Megan Thee Stallion wants to get involved with wrestling. Do you think that should actually ever show up? So Liv Morgan and Raquel challenged Megan Thee Stallion and another celebrity. I can't think of the name of it right now, her name of it. And TMZ picked it up. TMZ Sports picked it up. So then I rattled off my brain, oh, well, if it worked once, it'll work again with Taylor Swift.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it did, but it also turned into every reaction video that someone ever made was about me asking about Taylor Swift. So when I did see some of these videos, and when I did see some of these people face to face eventually, boy, were they shocked when I said to them, are you gonna say what you said about me in front of my face?
Yep.
Right.
No, like, oh, what are you talking about? Like, I watched your whole video. For 25 minutes. You told me what a piece of shit I was.
Yep.
But guess what? I'm not. And you're upset. And guess who got paid that day? Me. Right. I made a lot of money that day.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I think that's, ultimately the goal at the end of the day. But we saw your tweet earlier, post, whatever the hell X calls it these days, of how many superstars at this point you've interviewed. Was it 360?
360, correct?
360. Today actually was 361. Braun Strowman this morning I interviewed. And I didn't expect him to cry. He cried during my interview with me we talked about Bo Dallas. We talked about the Wyatt Six showing up, the emotional connection he has to both the group and Bo Dallas. So yeah, he cried. And I was like, wow, I've made people cry before in interviews, but I didn't expect, the first two questions in that he would cry. But that's on my YouTube channel right now, 10 Count Media. And I think we're at like 7,000 views, which is, I think, a really good number for such an early run. It's only been out for maybe 5 hours.
Yeah, that's definitely solid.
So, 360. So it's a powerful list too. It's not like the Joe Schmoes I see some people interview. Nothing against Joe Schmo. Great wrestler.
Right. Joe Schmo was a great wrestler. Underrated, really.
Yeah.
His
Totally.
career.
Totally.
But thinking back on some of those interviews, you know, obviously like anything else, it's just a law of, you know, average, right? They can't all be winners. How many of them would you say, or give us like a percentage of them that you can look back on and say like, yeah, I really hit these out of the park. And what was, you know, some of the worst ones, I guess, that kind of fell flat?
There was one that I can immediately think of top of my head when you call it falling flat. Someone clearly didn't want to be there that day. It was at the time, it was the TNA world champion, Alex Shelley. I said his name. That's right. And I love Alex Shelley as a wrestler. I was so excited to talk to Alex Shelley. So pumped. And so if I'm Alex Shelley and you're interviewing me, this is exactly what he was doing the whole time. So I'm asking questions and he's just like, looking around.
No care in the world.
Around. And like, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell's going on here? I had to chop it down. For instance, this was when someone, I go find quotes all the time. So like Alex Shelley in ringofhonor.com years ago said he was homeless. He said he was homeless. So in my question, I asked, wow, you're the world champion of TNA. That's what a powerful inspiration that is to other people out there in the world who possibly, you know, might be homeless, who are looking for goals. And he's like, I wasn't homeless.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was like, that's you. That's your quote, right? You said that on ringofhonor.com. He's like, I wasn't homeless. Okay.
All right.
It's the other Motor City team guy.
Yeah.
That one jumps out at me. But again, I love Alex Shelley. There has been a couple where I got nervous. And I never get nervous in interviews. Like when my first ever interview was with Jeff Hardy. So I was like, oh, I'm like prepping, reading my questions 1,000 times because I don't want to be the guy who keeps looking down at a piece of paper while interviewing someone. But then, like, I interviewed Bully Ray once, and I don't know what happened to me, but like before I even started, I just got like nervous because I feel like he calls out bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I was very nervous that anything I asked, he was gonna critique me while I was asking questions about promoting NWA at the time. He was there for, I think, for NWA 75. He was in a tables match against, I think maybe Mike Knox. But the standard I was told, like, he doesn't want to talk about anything except NWA. And I'm like, I want to talk about Dudley Boys. Yeah. I want to talk about the TLC matches. I want to talk about all those amazing Mae Young and all that stuff. And that happens a lot sometimes with organizations. AEW, I'd say, is the greatest at allowing you, they don't care what you ask. Like AEW, when they're like, okay, here's Thunder Rosa. Okay. And I asked Thunder Rosa WWE questions, TNA questions, her beef with Britt Baker, and, you know, really anything. And they were like, cool, thanks, Steve, bye. Other companies have called me on the phone as soon as the interview's been done and go, what, Steve? Excuse me?
Yeah.
So I've had an experience of really good PR is really good PR. And then there was really bad PR. There's really bad PR out there too.
So Steve, you mentioned Jeff Hardy being your first interview. Can you give the listeners a bit of context of when that interview took place and just a little bit of background of how long you've been doing this and kind of how it's evolved, either just your style, some of the conversations, maybe how they're different now than they were originally, or some of those themes that are just weaved throughout with every performer that you've been able to speak with?
Yeah. So originally what happened was I was supposed to have a show on Peacock when the WWE first ended up going on Peacock. It was like I think $1 billion for 5 years. So I work for NBC. And so I pitched an idea of, well, we should have like a TV guide type show on Peacock promoting what's being added to the WWE section, the match of the week, maybe suggest things as a fan you should check out, and it got picked up. I was like, yes, I'm going to have a show on Peacock. My world is changing. And the guy in charge of it got in trouble. And he got fired.
Oh, no.
So then everything that I was leveling up in life went right back down to zero. You know, because I was audio podcasting for years, you know, with your friends, your buddies, you know, you do a show and you're like, oh, what a great Raw or what a great pay-per-view. Let's talk about King of the Ring 93, stuff like that. And so I had to pitch another idea. I was like, what if I just do Zoom interviews with wrestlers? And they were like, oh, okay, if you can get wrestlers. So then I started emailing WWE and AEW and TNA. And I was like, hey, I work for NBC. We're starting this thing. You want to do it? And I ended up getting in contact with the old WWE PR guy. He doesn't work there anymore. He's actually in AEW now. And I contacted him and I was like, hey, man, we have this show idea we want to do. He's like, all right, what are you doing Thursday at 11:15 in the morning? Nothing. Sure, okay. All right. We'll give you Jeff Hardy, and then after that, you can talk to Drew McIntyre back to back.
Perfect.
I was like, holy shit! So you asked about the technique. My personality is very loud. I use the you either love me or you either hate me. You decide. And so with those two interviews, I went in like a reporter. I went in with I'm going to dress really nice. I'm going to have like not a suit on, but like a collared shirt. And I'm going to be a reporter, an anchor. I'm here for media. And it worked out fine. People picked up on it. And I didn't even know that there were websites like finding interviews and making articles. Like there's so many wrestling websites out there. But I had no idea that wasn't even like a thing. I didn't really care for wrestling news. And if I found wrestling news, it found me more than me looking for it. So with Jeff and Drew, I was completely, this is in 2021 of October. So I went in with a complete reporter mentality. Don't laugh, don't just ask questions. But now I am myself. As I'm talking to you now is exactly how I talked to Braun Strowman this morning. How I am today is exactly how I talk to anybody when I do interviews, because it's my personality. I can't like shut off who I am. And so I've discovered, and clearly I have a track record. Clearly the views are there. Clearly I've gotten enough people. And when the WWE PR people message you, hey, I want to interview this person, versus me hounding them, which I definitely have and definitely still do sometimes, it is completely different, a completely different aspect. So I would say my style has changed dramatically from the beginning in 2021 to now in 2024.
Yeah, and obviously, as you continue to grow and your viewership and everything continues to grow, and now, like you said, they're reaching out to you, that gives you a little bit more confidence and freedom to be like, all right, I don't have to be the reporter. I don't have to do all this stuff. I can just be myself and get all this content. So that's great. How has like just the overall wrestling landscape since 2021 even helped your product? Because as we know now, the numbers, the viewership is doing great. In regards to online viewership, live shows, the attendance has been incredible. So that alone has probably boosted your engagements in your content and the availability for that. So do you think in the last 3 years that's been like a big catalyst to your growth as like a creator?
I do, because if you go back to 2021, every WWE PLE or pay-per-view didn't have press conferences after them.
Right.
Ever. It was I think they started doing them very randomly for WrestleMania. The night Cody Rhodes showed up and fought Seth Rollins is really the beginning of them randomly doing press conferences. And then when I hooked up with another wrestling website, so I worked for NBC, my contract ended on the podcast. The podcast ended. Another website picked me up. So I worked for them for about a year and a half. I recently stopped working for them. And then I've done my own thing. But yet you would notice suddenly when I jumped in 2022, on November 2022 is when every event had a press conference. Survivor Series, when War Games first came back in Boston, boom, press conference. Then you had the Royal Rumble. Then I drove to Elimination Chamber in Canada, the press conference, and then WrestleMania, then Puerto Rico. It was like suddenly every single one of them had a press conference, except for Payback. Payback's the only one last year that was in Pittsburgh that did not have a press conference. And so I've noticed that suddenly there's access to wrestlers. There's access to get your name out there without having to, like, for instance, I interviewed 3 wrestlers a week for 2 years. You know how fucking stressful that is?
Yeah.
Finding people, emailing them, getting a time. I have 3 kids. I have another job. I have a wife. I have a mortgage. Like, it's hard. And I did it, and I did it, and I did it, and I did it. And honestly, I feel free now that I don't work for someone else because I'm not stuck and I have to get these interviews or I will not get paid.
Right.
Versus now you get the interview, it's going great. So I've noticed that landscape, but big time, and all these wrestling websites, if they don't admit it, they're lying. Everyone who's been sitting on TikTok and Instagram for the past 3 years, building up their platforms, and Twitch as well, building up their platforms, thought there's no way they'll ever get in that door or that press conference or that interview. That has completely flipped in the past like 4 months, where all these websites have realized, oh shit, all we've been doing is interviews and post-game shows. Well, you didn't realize that reaction videos were building other platforms. Like, oh my God, it's Uncle Howdy. Oh,
right.
Like, those are fun to do, but I don't ever want to be. I don't want to be that person because I don't. Those aren't real reactions, and that's fine. But guess what? That's how they're making their money.
Exactly, and that's part of it. Where it's like, I agree with you. I could never be that person either. I'm not. I'm very much happy with being who I am genuinely than having to force these fake reactions. But again, can't knock the hustle. That's what works for them. But in regards to like this current state of WWE, like you talking about, even bringing up Uncle Howdy, what do you think of the overall product? And kind of, do you feel it when you interview some of these superstars that they're as excited as the fan base is because of all these changes and how good it is right now?
So for about a year, remember when Vince McMahon retired in maybe a year and a half ago? It was on a random SmackDown in the Boston Garden. Out of nowhere, we read, oh my God, Vince McMahon retired. That night, every time I did a WWE interview through Zoom, I would ask like a question of like, oh, is everything like better with Triple H in charge versus Vince McMahon? And they all would say yes. They all would say, oh, it's easier, it's lighter. And then out of nowhere, the TV rights for all the WWE and the rumors of the WWE selling came out. And then Vince McMahon forced himself back into power. Well, boy, oh boy, guess who got fired instantly? The head of WWE PR.
Yeah, because they were tight-lipped.
Yeah. I'm going to take a wild guess, and I cannot confirm this. I'm going to take a wild guess that somebody was watching all those interviews, not just me. Everyone was asking, isn't it so much better without Vince around? Isn't it so much better? And when the PR guy sitting on the Zoom call, listening to all this, not stopping it or not asking to be edited, I have a feeling that was a red flag for certain individuals getting laid off when Vince got back in power. So I have noticed in the beginning, I would ask that question. Now I don't ask that question. That's like when I first started doing interviews, I'd ask like dream match or Mount Rushmore. And guess what? Those aren't bad questions because they always bring out different answers. But wrestling like media, they like stick their nose up at those types of questions. They think those are below the standard of the wrestling media.
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about? It's a TV show. We all love it. We can all ask our own versions of how we believe and what we want to know. Maybe I want to know what Braun Strowman ate this morning. Braun Strowman told me he took a giant shit today in my interview. Okay?
Hell yeah. He's just like us. These superstars are just like us.
That's right. We all take shits.
Exactly.
Big ones, small ones. So I have noticed a difference, but I think it's funny because there is like a circle, and you can probably see it if you go on Twitter enough. It's only on Twitter. There's a circle that people have, like certain companies have created where like they protect their little circle. And if you try to hurt one of them, not hurt them, disagree, they all attack you. But if you go on YouTube, there's amazing content creators who have like 500,000, 1 million subscribers. They are never brought up in any articles on any website about, did you hear this? Did you see that? No, you might've interviewed Sami Zayn, but you didn't, your 5,000 viewed interview is not compared to someone just playing WWE 2K24 and getting over 500,000 views. It's so bizarre to see the content creation versus the wrestling media meeting up for the first time ever. And both sides don't really know what to do with each other, I feel like.
Yeah. It's like a duel.
And I think it's something we're seeing. I know like the term new media is thrown around so much, not even just in the wrestling world, but in the sports world and et cetera. And you see a lot of times, using sports world, you see now ex-players are at the desk commentating, or I can go start a podcast. You know, I think of like JJ Redick and LeBron James can start a podcast. So new media has changed. How do you think, and you alluded to it a little bit there, how do you think that's going to evolve in the wrestling world and give folks who might not have that traditional access or that traditional in the outlet and opportunity to still say, hey, no, I can play, you know, for not to use the tagline where the big boys play. My content is at that level. I have the caliber of that. I have the charisma to talk to these folks and get them to open up to me the way they wouldn't to those traditional questions or traditional journalists. How do you think that's evolved, and where do you think that's going to go in the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Oh man, everyone who's on Twitch and TikTok and Instagram is going to be ruling the world in about 5 years, because I'll be honest, I never used Instagram, didn't need Instagram. When I first started using Twitter, when it started, there was no algorithm, there was no analytics. So when I started, I could write the word fart and get like 100 retweets instantly. Not anymore, because Twitter changed its algorithm to be, hey, they want me to see Beyonce's tweet, or they want me to see, the latest news about Trump versus Biden and the debate, stuff like that. So that's completely changed on Twitter. Twitter is, I like Twitter, but it's dead in a lot of ways.
And it's impossible to gauge. It's like, you say you study the algorithms and with YouTube and stuff, and I think that has a little bit more rhythm to it. But when it comes to X, whatever the hell you want to call it, Twitter, it's sometimes it's like, even using hashtags sometimes feels pointless. It's like, okay, you're tweeting about something that's happening on Raw and you use the hashtag WWE Raw like they want you to. And then you click on the hashtag and a bunch of shit you see is either, it's just like it has things that happened on Raw a week ago or something that happened 2 hours ago. It's like, it used to be when you were on top of it in the moment, you had a chance for somebody to pick up that tweet. And now it's just so hard. And it's like, why? Is it, do they just not care about that platform anymore? Is it the TikToks and the Twitch reaction videos and the Instagram reels? Like, maybe that's what it is. But figuring it out as elder millennials like we are, it's difficult, man. It's tough.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on that. I think Twitter is a great place to start, I guess. But at the same time, like, TikTok to me is a hit or miss. Like, you could put out... lately, what I've been doing is I've been repurposing some old interviews. So I'm like chopping them up, making shorts, making reels of Drew and Jeff and like Kofi or Damian Priest or whoever. And I'm chopping them up and you put it out there and like suddenly it's like 10 views. I'm like, what? And then at the time I'll post, it's like 7,000, like 7,000. It's been up for like 5 minutes. What the hell's happening? Like to me, TikTok, again, I've been studying the algorithm so much. So I'll give a little details on TikTok. There are peak hours to post. You know, don't post at 2 in the afternoon. That's a dead zone if you want to know. But some people do really well at 2 p.m. But in the algorithm and the basis of it all, it's not going to do well.
Like the average person or the average like user on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah, like for instance, when everyone looks at their phone when they first wake up, everyone looks at the phone when they go to sleep. Okay. There you go. There's some clues. Yeah. Those are the times you want to be posting on TikTok at least. YouTube has a different algorithm. Facebook has a different algorithm. They all have different algorithms. The biggest one though on Twitter is I feel like there is no more algorithm. You see the same 15 people and they write the dumbest shit and they get like 1,000 retweets or like 300 likes on just you saying, oh man, Liv Morgan and Dom, I hope they eat chicken fingers together. Yeah. And then it's like 1,000 likes. What? Yeah. What? And you might have even more followers than them, but it's not about how many followers you have. It's about the dedicated audience that you have gained. Because I have 2 YouTube channels. One has 7,000 subs. One has 350. I started recently. 350 has a very dedicated audience. Yeah. Very dedicated. Because all you need really is 1,000 subscribers on anything. And if they're dedicated to you, you could get 1 million views off of anything. They share because they're dedicated to you, not your content, but to you, the content creator. And that's something I think all these wrestling websites have forgotten about, was they didn't have personality they didn't have like a face to their company. They had a company. Right. Why do I like you? Like a long ass time ago, I used to watch WrestleZone Chair Shot Reality with Justin LaBar. And I would watch that shit all the time. It was professional. It looked like a news show about wrestling. I was like, this is awesome. So years later, I saw Justin. I was like, dude, I used to watch this show all the time. And he's like, you did? And like, obviously, it probably felt good to him to hear that someone watched the things he was putting his heart and soul into. And same thing with anybody who's putting out content. You want, obviously, you want people to watch it. You know, you want the likes, you want the views, but at the same time, if you know you're good, you know, I got hired for a wrestling website. They had maybe 8,000 subs on their YouTube. When I was done with them, 130,000. That was 1 year of working my ass off for someone else.
Yeah.
So imagine if you work your ass off working for yourself, where you'll end up.
Oh, it's all good. It's all, I mean, it's all good advice and all good things to take with you. Cause, you know, as somebody who has been in media, I work for a music station. So I've interviewed more music artists than I have, you know, WWE superstars or wrestlers in general. But it's one of those things that you always are thinking about is like, okay, when you're creating this, who am I gearing this to? Which hashtags do I have to use? You know, and you look at our YouTube account for the station that I work for, and it's like we have whatever 2,500 subscribers, or whatever it is. You feel like that's going on, and then we'll post an interview, we get 15 views, and it's like with an artist that's known, and I'm like, how the hell did this happen? You know, and I'm confident in my interviewing skills, where I'm like, I don't know how this works. So I do appreciate you sharing some of that, you know, that information with us, because it's things that, you know, entering the content creation world are very important to know.
Yeah, that right there, that 15 view thing, I hear you on that one. For certain,
it's nuts.
It's interesting you say that, because so before, when I worked for other people, I didn't have control over thumbnails or descriptions. Now, I really could just write the title. You know, Damian Priest says he booed Dominic Mysterio at his wedding. Okay, that will do well because of the title. But then sometimes if you write Damian Priest talks about Dom wedding, Damian Priest on Dom wedding, Damian Priest shoots on Dominic Mysterio's wedding. There are certain words.
That's a trigger word right there.
That triggers YouTube. And they're like, what? What is this? There's one I can't think of his name right now. He interviews everybody from the past, like Demolition, the Warlord, the Nasty Boys, everybody. But if you look at all of his titles, shoot is in all of them, and they have astronomical numbers.
That makes sense.
There are keywords. Thumbnail. Say you put out this 15 view video, 5 hours later, it's still only at 15 views. You change the thumbnail, you change the title, you change the description, you write new titles, because you got to keep figuring out. Because I'll put out a video, say 5 days ago, I put out an old Nikki Cross interview that I did backstage at a Raw 2021.
Yeah, so when
she was a superhero.
Yeah.
And so put it out, made some clips, made some shorts. I was like, damn, these aren't doing anything. That's weird. 5 days later, whoosh, suddenly YouTube algorithm, suddenly YouTube goes, wait a minute, I think people will like this. 5 days later. And then poof, suddenly, you know, they're in the thousands. So you just have to keep changing. You think a video you posted last Monday is done working on? No, you're always working on videos, changing thumbnails, changing descriptions. It's an ever evolving world if you're trying to make content versus just trying to make articles about, you know, what happened on Raw last night.
Yeah. I mean, that right there is just really good information to have, and interesting, because now I'm going to take that going forward. But Steve Fall, we've taken plenty of your time. We have, we do work in the media. We have a guy who's a news producer for a radio show that has to get ready for the
good old presidential debate.
The good old presidential.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, a little busy. Yeah, a little busy tonight in certain areas of the country. Tonight.
But we truly appreciate you giving us your time, man, and valuable information for, you know, because we could easily have, you know, done another hour going actually talking about wrestling. But I think this part of it is very important for somebody who is a successful wrestling content creator, an interviewer, to kind of put that out there for maybe somebody who's just getting started up that might want to know some of this stuff. So this was a great introduction to our audience and getting involved here, but also the next time we have you on, we want to get down to the nitty gritty and talk about some good old wrestling stuff. But
of course,
appreciate it, man. Tell the people where they can find you, your content, YouTube, and everything.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Steve Fall. It's very simple. If you can't spell fall, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then also I have a YouTube channel. I have 2 of them, 10 Count Media. The other one is called One Fall Nation. And One Fall Nation is also my Instagram and my TikTok. So I'm just growing everywhere and doing everything. I'm going to be at Money in the Bank in Toronto next week.
Nice.
And then I have to skip Forbidden Door this weekend. My children have recitals, so I can't go to that one. But then SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
So just having a good time, and I'm very excited to see what happens next for myself and everyone around me. But I'm just having a good time.
Awesome, man. Well, Steve, dude, you're killing it, and we appreciate you giving us your time. And I'm hoping this won't be the last time we chat with you. And I'm sure we'll see you at some events coming up. Locally as a Raw in Boston on Monday. We're gonna try to get.
I'll be there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to make my way there, and appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you again soon. And a big thanks to Steve Fall, 10 Count Media, for joining us today. A lot of good information there if you are a wrestling content creator, which again, this is what we do. Everything is pro wrestling.
Everything.
We got to get all types of interviews, and although yes, he is very knowledgeable, we could have went into some of the stuff happening in the wrestling world, obviously, but I think it was cool that we kind of just chopped up about his career, the career, and like the tips and tricks that is being a wrestling content creator. So shout out to Steve Fall.
Very insightful interview.
Very insightful.
The behind the scenes, and I think to your point, that's awesome, and also start of a program with our buddy. So we'll have opportunities for him to come back and dive a little deeper into current wrestling, what's happening these days, and see where it goes. But yeah, shout out to Steve.
Definitely. Our hearts break for many reasons this week as wrestling fans. We do know that obviously the Uncle Howdy Bo Dallas segment was heart-wrenching. It was deep. We know that we lost Sikoa. Okay, the whole Anoa'i family. I never pronounced that correctly.
Yeah,
Anoa'i family is hurts. But we also lost another one. Rhea Ripley got married, friends. Okay, she is a married woman. Mommy is now a wife, and
she didn't give me this ring either.
2/3 of us are married men, so this actually means
who's the 1/3?
Fuck. LeBron James' opponent at SummerSlam.
Who can the 1/3 be? I wonder.
Yeah. Hello, Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
Get ready. You're gonna find out,
ladies
of Cleveland. I think that's the first time anybody's ever said that.
Yeah.
Ladies
like
of Cleveland.
Charles Barkley and the women in San Antonio. It's giving the same vibes.
Big old women in San Antonio. But yeah, shout out to Rhea and Buddy getting married. I mean, no announcement.
No, yeah, just they posted a picture.
She's wearing all black.
Shout out to her. Like the Omen.
Stick to the script.
I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, congratulations to them.
Shout out to them,
we're happy for them, right?
So Buddy Murphy, luckiest man in wrestling. When you
having
look
a
at
great
his
time.
track, I mean, he was engaged to Alexa Bliss. Now he's married to Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
God, dude's a lucky man.
Does that mean Rhea's going to move on to another member of what band is that?
No, she married Ryan Cabrera.
Okay.
Who did what was that song? On the Way Down? Was that his song?
Yeah.
He had
the
a couple.
One who used to date Ashley Simpson.
Ashley Simpson,
I don't know why I know all that stuff, but it's in there.
No, because
we grew up.
That was our era. That was our era.
She's the one who got caught lip syncing on SNL.
Yes, and her career completely went downhill after that.
Completely off a cliff after that. Just like Milli Vanilli when they got caught in the 90s.
I had a huge crush on Ashley Simpson, both of the Simpsons. Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica was my girl.
Yeah,
I feel like I liked Ashley more. Actually, there's something about her that appealed to me.
I think I like Jessica's ditziness.
Yeah,
that's fair.
You said
gorgeous.
ditziness.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said.
Because there's definitely nothing else that sounds like that.
With a double D on it.
Capital D.
With a double D on it.
A capital double D in ditzy for Jessica Simpson. I forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, that's right. So congratulations to Rhea and Buddy. Forbidden Door this weekend.
Forbidden Door this Sunday. Or if you're watching it before Sunday, if you're watching it after Sunday, it was this past Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe some belts change.
I'm going to check that out.
Maybe some belts don't change.
I do kind of hate, again, every time AEW has a big pay-per-view, I get mad that it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
Because we're so spoiled with Saturday PLEs.
Yeah. I've done the research, though, and by done the research, I just mean they've put this out there. This will be the last
Sunday pay-per-view.
Without a holiday. Hurtful Sunday one, because the next Sunday will be all in, and they'll be at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, which is good.
And then I think all of the other ones after that are Saturdays.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been the next thing we need to figure out is how we get the Super Bowl on Saturday.
Yeah. Or
it's never gonna happen, but I would
all
love
these games, the national championship game, all these
Yeah.
things. Why are they on Mondays, Sundays and Mondays?
I will also accept the Super Bowl being on the Sunday of President's Day weekend.
Yes.
Yeah,
Then
no,
we get
yeah.
the Monday off.
Might be in the cards anyway.
I think
might
that's what they're trying to
That
get.
might be the case next Super Bowl
Yeah.
for all
right.
we know.
It really could.
So
It really
again,
could.
Roger Goodell also listens.
Yeah.
So make it happen, Rog.
What Forbidden Door? Not give me like one hot take prediction, whatever, because we're against the clock here.
I think my prediction, I feel like I'm stealing yours, is I think we don't see a clean winner in Swerve and Ospreay, and I think they both keep their belts.
All right, I will go with a different one. My prediction: Shingo Takagi and Bryan Danielson actually have the match of the night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have one because I'm having a hard time following all of the things in AEW, and that's just me being honest. I could have lied to you, but I'm not
His
gonna.
hot take is Tony Khan's pants are likely to be wet
Yeah.
before the end of the show.
Oh, here's a hot take.
All that gorilla.
I will watch it.
Ooh, holy shit!
Oh shit!
That's a fucking hot take.
God damn.
Yeah,
On a Sunday
wow.
when you have to go into work the next day.
Exactly.
That is a hot
yes,
take.
Wow.
I will watch it.
That's sacrifice.
That's about hot as it gets.
Kayfabe cousin build here.
Yeah.
We're like turning into Godwins. We're just adding. This is
I'm
awesome.
the
Kayfabe second cousin.
There you go.
I'm the kayfabe cuz I'm like Spike Dudley.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's fucking perfect.
I'm Spike Dudley
That's
for the
perfect.
kayfabe cousins.
I get that. Makes me diva on that, huh?
Yeah,
I
kind
am
of.
very much Bubba.
I was going here
I meant-
more than I was going there.
He
I
was
want
going
slight
more
in that
complexion.
sense,
Oh.
but, you know, like
Although-
Mike, very
You don't
ambiguous.
think
Yeah.
I look just like Devon skin
If
tone?
you put
Yeah.
the glasses
Right,
on,
that's what I'm
maybe
saying.
the
Yeah,
glasses.
if I get the hat.
If you put the shades on,
We're
you-
close to the same
How do
hairline.
you do this?
Yeah. Oh, testify. Spike Dudley, as Spike Dudley, being around a table makes me a little fearful. I'm not gonna lie.
Also, it totally tracks because if I remember correctly, when we first went to college, you wanted to be a teacher. He was a teacher.
He was a teacher. Yeah,
And that's exactly
in
it.
Rhode Island.
Yeah, Lincoln, Rhode Island, I believe.
It all comes back full circle.
It all does, man.
Everything is pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Final
Everything is
thoughts?
pro
Any
wrestling.
final thoughts for the show, boys? It was a good one. Fun
Good show.
This
good
was
show.
my favorite episode.
Fun
we've
show.
done.
Good. That's the second or third time you said
No,
that.
no, I think
Yeah.
it's the fifth time you
But
said that. Yeah.
this might be the most believable.
I really mean it. This is my favorite episode we've ever done.
That's
Is it the
it.
best episode we've ever done? I don't know. Maybe not. But it's definitely the one I've enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wait
been
till
a
we
blast.
take edibles before an episode. That's
Oh,
gonna be even better.
fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's
where,
gonna be it.
Where you guys been the last?
Oh shit.
6
Okay, wait till the rest of us take edibles. But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it there. You know what? It was a great show today. Shout out to Steve Fall for joining us today. The Kayfabe cousins. The three of us were firing in all types of fucking
And
directions.
it's been a week, so bear with us.
It's been a
We've
week.
all kind of had a week, so this is the
was
best you're going
our
to get from us
episode.
this week.
This one was for us.
This one was for us, and I am still a one-time tornado survivor. So we'll leave you on that. Thank you.
31's
Throw your
up.
ones up. Throw your ones up, and just spin them around real quick. Spin them
That's
around.
the next I like that.
Yeah.
Macho Man style.
Macho. Ooh, yeah. Continue to like, subscribe, share. The subscriber numbers are going up each week. Maybe not by much, but we've increased every week.
Slow build, baby.
It's a slow build, so
build.
share it. And we appreciate everybody who tunes in every week and comments and replies. Follow us on X at EIPW Podcast. That is on X. We share a lot of great content on there. And yeah, man, appreciate you, boys.
Promise you it's a better X account than my account. So if you are weird enough to follow me, definitely follow that.
Yeah, and follow all of us.
Yeah,
Just go ahead and find
that's
us all
it.
on there. It's right in the bio. So appreciate you guys. See you next week. Peace.